In today's video, I would like to take my audience 2 or 3 different places to illustrate a point that I have been trying to show for a long time. Now, I've told the story before about my grandmother, who, very wise, once told me that you're going to have people in your life that are your friends, and you're going to have people in your life that are your enemies. The people that are your friends may or may not be genuine. Some will be, some will have an agenda though. But you will never have a disingenuous enemy. No one will ever pretend to be your enemy. So make sure you have the right enemies in life. Another part of that story was that if you can reach out to an enemy, if you can reach out to someone who disagrees with you and find common ground, no matter how many times they swipe your hand away, that person, if they do end up finding common ground with you, will more than likely be a very good friend for a very long time. This has actually happened behind the scenes here at the Florida Maquis. There was a channel that did not like mine for a very long time, and I was able to reach out to the operator of that channel, and through discussion we have reached some common ground on things. I'm going to leave that be it. That person has asked me not to mention who that is, just to save them some grief. My position on Venezuela versus Colombia is this, and this is the thing I think people are getting wrong. I don't believe that the U.S. should become this socialist paradise. I think the U.S. is now, and has been for a very long time already, a socialist paradise. And some of the things that the people who believe the MSM about the story in Venezuela are saying is the problem in Venezuela, those things go on here all the time. For example, one of the big things is, of course, the expropriation, the nationalization of the oil industry down there. Well, most of those people don't know that for the last 40 years, from 1975 to 2015, the U.S. government passed a law telling oil companies, you may not sell oil to anyone other than Canada. And that was only a tiny fraction. Imagine that. I mean, seriously, imagine a government telling a private business who their customers can and can't be. That only changed in 2015. Another thing that people don't know, and this is where I really want to engage my audience right here. This is where I would like everyone to, if you could, explain something for me. Now, a lot of people don't know that this was not just the Eisenhower interstate system. It was the Eisenhower system of interstate and defense highways. This system was a government system. It wasn't built with having profit in mind. It was built as part of necessity, as part of national defense. Now, what part of our economy would be able to function without this highway system? None. Literally none. To access this highway system commercially, the level to which you must subject yourself to government approval is epic. And if I have anybody out there who's a CDL driver, I'm sure that they can, down in the comments section, reveal for you how much control, how much socialist, heavy-handed government control is involved in getting a CDL, operating a truck. It's epic. I mean, it is absolutely, you are tracked. I would allege that CDL truck drivers are tracked more than the military is. By far. They look into every aspect of your history, every moment of the day, at any point in time, whether you're doing anything wrong or not. They can stop you, have you pull over at the next station, and drug test you, and or search your truck, no matter what. End of story. How is that not heavy-handed socialism? Even before Obamacare, there was Medicare, Medicaid, 911 systems, regulation on every moving part of money, and the oil industry. Who remembers the TVA? After the Great Depression, and what it did. The power grid and the transportation grid in this country is now and has always been controlled by the government. And you, as a person, do not have the ability to access it unless you get government approval to do so. This is the point that I have been trying to make for a long time about what's going on down in Venezuela and the contrast between Venezuela and Colombia, right next door, is striking, not in the sense of their behavior, but in our attitudes toward them. By the way, you remember that thing that I talked about a couple days ago? How they just missed by a little bit on this corruption referendum? Well, apparently, the registrar monkeyed with the numbers, or it would have passed. That he only reported the numbers who voted for it, not the total numbers. And the total numbers are what go toward quorum, not just who voted for it. And in the same breath, the Colombians have now banned the party that ran against Duque in the last election. These are all the things that we have accused Venezuela of. And these people still get $500 million of our money every year. But on a more happy note, the story you're not being told. The Venezuelan government has paid for the return of their citizens now. You see, much like in this country, we have good people and we have bad people. And when things get sketchy, usually it's the bad ones that are the first to jet, because life ain't easy anymore. This is why Brazil is sending their military to the border. They're not there to intercept good, hardworking, decent Venezuelans. They're there to intercept the criminals and the thugs that have been destroying the Venezuelan way of life for the last 5 years, that were really Colombians or Peruvians masquerading as Venezuelans. That's another thing people don't understand. And that's actually in this article, and you can look this up on Telesur, where when Nikki Haley went down and saw all of the displaced folks, the vast majority of those were transient workers anyway. They go back and forth. Ecuador, Venezuela, Brazil, Colombia, all those countries have agreements that they recognize each other's citizenship. That was today, and this was yesterday. They're starting to come back because the economy in that country is starting to come back. They have shaken off the DTs of the US dollar. That's the best analogy I can give. They now have a completely independent system. So when you see Neil Cavuto or any of these business people saying there's a loaf of bread costs $1 million, this, that, or the other, means nothing. Because they're going to report to you in US dollar, which is illegal down there, or the old Bolivar, which isn't recognized. They're paying their people in cryptocurrency, the Petro, and for the walking around cash, they have the sovereign Bolivar. And it's working. How do we know it's working? The vice president of that country, Delcy Rodriguez, you remember the one that said to the people, if there's problems in your areas, you need to fix them yourself? That horrible socialist idea there. Qatar and Algeria. Algeria is a member of OPEC, and everyone knows, I don't know if it's Qatar or Qatar, but either way, they're signing deals. They've already inked it with Italy, with Turkey, with India, with China, with Russia. Tell me again how all of this could be the case, what the mainstream media of the United States is reporting about the collapse and the imminent destruction of. How could it have been true in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, and now 18, with no real evidence of it? No pictures of starving people. One, maybe two. More pictures of very well-fed people. It's changing. And things are getting better down there. We have socialism in this country. Have had for a long time. That controls every aspect of the economy, and without it, it would collapse. So it's not some mix of socialism and capitalism here. The capitalism could go away and we'd be poor, but our country would still work. If the socialism in this country went away, it would be the end of everything. Because this highway system is a government creation, a national defense creation, that without that and the fuel policy of this country that for 40 years banned private oil companies from selling outside of our shores, it showed the greatest amount of growth this country in that 40 years, 75 to now, under that socialist idea of the government telling private business who they can and can't sell to. So we'll leave it there. Thank you everyone so much for the support of the channel. Very much appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.